I never set out to build a business around billionaires, it just happened. I started with a simple idea to solve the problem for people who've got more money than they know what to do with. And what I discovered that the ultra wealthy don't actually want what you think they want. They want access, they want solutions, they want someone who understands their world. Over the last couple of decades, I've been inside that world. I've been watching how billionaires actually think. I've orchestrated some of the deals that sound completely made up. I've seen real power dynamics of extreme wealth. I've learned things that completely changed how I understand business, money, success. The truth is, selling to billionaires isn't harder than selling to anyone else. It's actually simpler, but it requires understanding something that people miss. Today I'm going to pull back the curtain on that. Not the Instagram version that you might know me for, not the highlight reel, the actual reality of this 0.1% of lives, how they think, how they make decisions, how they build businesses and around solving their problems. I'm going to tell you things that I've seen that have shocked me, the unspoken rules that nobody talks about. The biggest mistake I've watched happen, and the real mechanics of how I built this from zero to something now that controls access to experiences that people will never have. If you want to understand how extreme wealth actually works, how to build a business that serves the ultra wealthy, and what really happens behind those closed doors when nobody's watching, this is the conversation you need to see. Let's go. So first, I'm going to answer some of your questions. What's the biggest difference between how ultra wealthy people think and how normal people think? Ultra wealthy think with absolute abundance. There is no thing that holds them back in terms of decision making around money doesn't really come into play. What does is value, and you have to appreciate that the most important thing is value. If they feel that the magazine they're buying for 10 euros is too expensive, they won't buy it because it's not value for money. The actual amounts are less significant. Often it's easier for them to do a $100 million deal than it is to do a $10,000 deal, because they are generally, when you're doing a deal that size, the type of assets you're dealing with, the way you're banking with it, it gives you more flexibility, it gives you more options. So, and people have better ways of managing those levels of risk, ironically, than the smaller things. And they've got a team of people around them that support them. The thing they value most is time. They don't want to be distracted by it. Everything can get done quickly and easily, and decisions can be made quickly and easily, because that's another element, is they don't procrastinate. Making decisions is a quick process, and the quicker you make decisions, the faster you get results. And billionaires know that. That's the way that they operate. They operate quickly and clearly, creating results. Not all billionaires are the same, but that's a character trait I see. Another one is that they have absolute assurance and confidence in their own ability, like without question. And that's something I think everyone should have. The ability to be able to be 100% confident in your actions and what you want to do. And I think that what I've seen is that mindset is such an important one, because it helps you in all of the decision-making processes. And it may come across as arrogance, it may come across as them being a little bit crazy. And there is a very fine line between crazy and very smart. And a lot of these guys can take those levels of risk, and what is perceived as giant risk, when in fact they have a lot of knowledge in specific areas. So for them, it's not the biggest risk. And that's the thing that I've understood. Next one. Tell me about the craziest deal you've ever had to orchestrate, what made it impossible, and how you actually pulled it off. One of the deals we did was a $25 million holiday. That sounds crazy when you take that out of context, but once you start adding in all the things that you need to do a trip like this is a 4-week holiday, then you start to understand where those costs come from. And like, we're talking about money here that people might not spend in a lifetime, being spent over the course of 4 weeks. And to try and put that in perspective is obviously wild. But you have to understand that you can charter jets for $1 million for one flight when you're looking at wide-body private jets. These are aircraft similar to Air Force One and these other aircraft like this. We're talking about like A330 private jets. These are absolutely insane things. These are things with gyms on board and cinemas. Absolutely incredible bits of kit. And that's where the levels just change completely. And I think that a lot of people can't really appreciate the scale and wealth that you can be at. And then you look at yachts you can charter. Yachts can go up to $3.5 million a week to charter. But you have to remember, on top of that, you have local VAT, which can be up to 20%, or sometimes more. And you then have 30% APA, which is called Advanced Provisioning Allowance. It's basically all your expenses, your fuel, your food, paying for the berths, all the bank of the boat to do whatever you want to spend with it. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about this APA. People think that it's like a certain amount, or it's planned, or like it's your money and the captain's just spending it on your behalf on your charter. So there isn't a set amount for all the expenses on a charter. You have to just manage that with the captain, and you have to sign that off, and you have to approve those things. So it's very important to keep that in mind, and that refers down to even the smallest little boats. So keep that in mind, that the captain is there but he's not going to, like, the reason why that's there is because there's so many little expenses through a trip that he can't keep asking you the amount of cost of fuel for jet skis, for generators costs, through to like giving tips to each port as you go in, tender rides to beach clubs, like extra chef runs to go to the supermarket to get some fresh pastries in the morning, these type of things. So when you ask for it, when you before you go on a vessel, you'll set out a preference sheet, and when you do that, then that will give you all the insights and for the crew to know what to buy you, what you like, what you don't like. But all those costs will then come to you. That's a long-winded answer for what is ultimately, whenever you're then chartering a yacht, you're looking at adding 50% on top for all those extras. And then usually, depending on how much you've spent over a charter, there's usually a bit left in that APA, and that's hopefully enough for your tip for the crew. If not, you can always top that up, but just a little bit of advice on that. But yeah, to give you that insight, so when we're chartering incredible yachts, one of the yachts we've chartered that we're famous for is Flying Fox, chartering that for a month. It's now called Hadar, owned by the UAE royal family, but that was 136 meters long. It had 2 helipads, yes, so one on the back, one on the front. So if your friend wants to come over for lunch, you've got a helipad spare, I guess. That's kind of how that works. And then you have a 2-story spa on board. And I mean, it has hammams and jacuzzis and steam rooms and massage rooms. I mean, just unlimited stuff on board, like a full water sports center, and a cryotherapy chamber on board. More swimming pools than I can count, like 7 swimming pools. And then I think we had 12 bedrooms on board, so you could take about 24 guests. And again, that's a very rare thing. Most boats that you take around, charter around, only take 12 guests. Only when you get to bigger boats, there's a whole rationale behind that I'll have to go into one day. And you can ask me more questions or put them in the comments, but that's on a SOLAS registration, which is effectively looking at things that you need to manage, like you're a cruise ship. You actually have lifeboats on the side of some of these big super yachts, so you might spot them. They hide them quite well, some of them, but because they want them to look pretty. But otherwise, you can only have 12 guests. You can be a 100-meter boat and only have 12 guests on board, as mad as that sounds. So with that boat, we had a few more than that. Had like a huge swimming pool, which we learned to dive in, like the most incredible, like open kitchens with chefs serving. Like, you had 3 chefs on board. I had 52 crew. So really just quite an incredible experience. A wine cellar with wines, $40,000-$50,000 bottles of wine in the cellar that we drank. A aquarium without any fish in it, because apparently fish get seasick. Fact for you. We had Jake and Logan Paul join us on that trip. If you've seen those videos, that was very cool. Setting up beach club setups with those, which are totally incredible. Like the ability to just like take over an island and the crew go and set everything up for you. A lot of yachts will go and do that, where you have a beach club set up, they'll go and do cocktails at sunset, they might set up some fun games on the beach for you. A great thing to keep in mind. We had an amazing trip seeing the whole Caribbean, which was just an incredible experience. And then a helicopter on standby whenever you needed it on the back of the deck. Rather than using a tender to go to shore, just use the helicopter instead. Fly people to the airport, things like that. So these types of trips and experiences that people get to do are just out of this world. When money is no object. I mean, we have trips, you can go up to space, $65 million for a trip to space, going up to the space station. I mean, that's the sort of figures we're talking. If you want to go orbiting around, that's from 35 to 40 million as well, for a few days orbiting in the SpaceX capsule. Like, so there is crazy sums of money that people don't realize that people can spend. And these are just on experiences. These aren't even on assets. These are just on a few days holiday where people are spending tens of millions of dollars. So it just gives you an idea of the scale of money and wealth that's out there. It's really crazy. Next question. What do billionaires actually want when they hire you? Because it's probably not what people think. Yeah, that's the thing, is like we have our jet business, our yacht company, and our events company that creates these unique travel experiences. And we have a real estate business too, but across those, people want access to these things, and that's the key thing they're paying for. With Formula One, it's getting access to drivers, to meet them, to go to certain places, to have your boat parked here. I'm right in Monaco right now, in fact, looking out over the boats. And it's these types of unique experiences. We can get them into, take scientists with you to the Galapagos to go and explore unique places they wouldn't usually allow yachts to go, or go heli skiing in Antarctica. It's us creating these ideas, closing down the pyramids privately to have your own private party. Yes, that's a real thing, and we did it. So these are the incredible life-changing experiences that we put together for people, and like that's the uniqueness about it, you know. So and I think that's just like such a powerful thing. Next question. You've built this across yachts, jets, and F1. How does the ecosystem actually work, and why is it more powerful than just focusing on one? Yeah, so we launched these businesses over 18 years, and I started in the world of nightclubs, in fact, and in central London. And that was an incredible world. But as a nightclub owner, I was in this lucky place, whether you're a billionaire or a celebrity, you still wanted to meet the owner of the nightclub. So it gave me this great platform for networking. I think that's one of the key tools that I've learned, is about networking. Your ability to meet people, that billionaire black book that I'm lucky to have now. But the reality is if you're able to build up your network, it's the most important thing, and adding value back to those people. I think that what we've seen is adding value back first is the most important thing you can do. And often people meet these celebrities or billionaires, and the first thing they want to do is ask them for something. Like, oh, can you invest in this? Can I get, like, stop asking them for things. Like, try and offer something to them. As crazy as that sounds, but the reality is if you can offer something back, that's where a lot more of the value comes, that they're going to be interested to speak to you. And believe it or not, there's probably value you can add to them that you might not realize. They might be fascinated in a place that you know more about than them. I'm sure you've probably been to somewhere they haven't, an experience that you might have done that they haven't. These are the things that is going to trigger, to build a relationship and give insights into these types of things. I think that's so important, to be able to connect with people and add value. So first of all, look at how you can, and then connect them to other people. Oh, there's someone I can, if someone likes kite surfing, connect them to that. If someone wants a guide around a city, you connect them to that, like whatever, or someone in a different business or industry. If you're able to connect those people and add value, don't ask for money. Don't try and be the guy taking money out of that first deal. That's what I've learned, is the opportunity is to not worry about that. The opportunity to make the deal happen and be happy that that deal has happened. Then you've got a proof of concept for other people, introductions. As soon as you start trying to ask money out of your first deal when you're not sure how it works, you're not sure of all these different things, that's when things trip up and fail. That's when the biggest problems actually occur. Don't try and make money out of your first deal with them, because everyone's going to get a little bit nervous and the deal's probably going to fall apart. Best thing to do it for free. Offer the opportunity, connect people, and then word of mouth is your best tool, and it proves that you can do it. So create your proof of concept, do it that way. That's the key thing I would suggest for you, rather than doing those other things. Other questions? Like, what's the biggest mistake you've seen billionaires make, and what's it taught you about how wealth actually works? Sometimes billionaires aren't the happiest people. As we've seen, there's rock stars around the world that have been on stage with hundreds of people, thousands of people screaming their name, and they're depressed, they're unhappy, and they're making, billions. So I think that it's important to understand what actually makes people happy, and that's really our goal as a business that is driven around experiences, is finding the things that make people happy and realizing that experiences often create happiness, and that's the way we look at it. We're able to add value to people through that, and the end goal in life isn't money, it's happiness. Of course, money can help you get there sometimes, or it can make things easier, but yes and no at the same time. As long as you have your basic needs covered, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have these basic needs. If you have food, shelter, water, then your basic needs are covered. Once you've got to that stage, everything about how you feel emotionally is down to your own mindset. You're not struggling, you can survive, you can wake up. And some of the happiest people I've seen, I was in Madagascar the other week, like in a remote little village on a little island, like the ability to wake up in the morning and catch some fish and go back to your hut. Like, what a simple life, but equally one full of passion and happiness with the family. So I think that keep in mind that it isn't about the money. It's great to say that with the Superyachts parked out here. I mean, there's $1 billion worth of kit out here, and but it puts it in perspective that kind of none of that matters. And as much as you say it does, like, I'm pretty sure that you can find some incredibly happy people as long as they have their food and water and their shelter. Then you can find those in third world countries. The smiling kids, the fun, the simplicity of life. So getting back to that simplicity, I mean, I've gone and done experience. I've shipwrecked myself on a desert island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean for 10 days without food, water, or shelter, and just a machete to survive. And that really teaches you. That's out there, money doesn't matter. We proved it. It really doesn't. Can't make you survive. Your connections don't matter. The only thing that does at the time is the guy that could catch fish and the guy that can make fire. That's the important bit. So I think that that's the reality of it. What's the next question here? You've got over 500,000 followers on Instagram. How much of your business is actually driven by that as your personal brand? Personal brand is so important. People trust in you. It's so fundamental to how businesses run these days. A lot of CEOs of very big companies now are starting to get Instagram accounts. We all know McDonald's, the CEO there that takes his little bite out of his burgers. But like, these people you can't have faceless brands anymore. People need to get behind, they need to tell stories, they need to be honest, open, and have those experiences. So being in front of the camera is key, telling your story. And we want to do more of that. I want my team in front of the camera. It's not just me, it's an amazing team that we have around the world, down here in the south of France, in our office in Dubai, in our office in London, and one in Indonesia. Sometimes I think people just think it's just me. I definitely can't do this all by myself. And but you're giving that authenticity, giving that truth, explaining what we do, the challenges, explaining what's difficult. All of these things are super important and things that I think that all businesses should do moving forward. Get yourself in front of the camera and know how hard that is. And people go, when should I start? What should I do? And it's like, just start. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now, to just go do it. And that's another thing that makes a difference between a successful entrepreneur or businessman is taking action. There's many a times when people are like, what's the most important thing is take action. Just do it. Whatever the thing is that you need to go and do, the decision you need to make, the person you need to ask, the idea you need to start, just go start it today. So go promise me, go away and do that. Whatever that is, go and start it today. I think it's so important. Just take action now. What's the biggest opportunity you see in the luxury space right now that nobody's talking about? Community. It's a key value we see across our whole group of companies. I think that that's very much lost in today's society because of a number of reasons. What we see is people connecting on social media, looking at it this way, not out in the real world, but people losing that too. People living in countries they weren't born in, and that creates another set of parameters and challenges around people maybe living for somewhere for a few years at a time and then moving on. People moving to new countries like Dubai in the UAE, which is only formed like 40 or so years ago. It means that it doesn't have that history, it doesn't have that, and sometimes you have to build those communities. So what we started to do as a business is to connect people. We started to do that organically, and now we're building that as a brand. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of business on our experiences, which is absolutely incredible because what's happened is people have made friendships for life. They've started businesses together. We've got business partners. We've got people who've done deals together and became best friends. It's really been such a special thing that we've been able to share with so many people. But the importance of that is community first. And now we're building with our villa community. Our first project is in Bali. And our story and clarity around that is you can invest from 500, 700, 800,000 in a villa there. And people view it as, I give you this money to invest and I get invited to this world of experiences to meet people and I get a free villa. Like, our value point is that those experiences are so powerful that the actual physical asset comes second, the experiences come first. A portal you can log into and access that, and our goal is to build those around the world as part of our brand. You get access to from global base, you'll be able to experience all these things. So for us, community, that is the most important thing. And I think everyone should be building on that, building networks, sharing that. Everyone wants to be part of that, and it's so difficult in today's society. So do more of that. Also, one piece of advice to entrepreneurs who want to build a business around the ultra wealthy. Just start, like I said. I think that building that business is around, first of all, finding those people. I think so many people nowadays want to build a platform or build a business, but without the client. You've got to go and find that client first. Your business is always going to be driven by the clients, especially at that ultra high net worth sector. There's not many of them. It's not huge volume. You're not setting up a business to sell $1 things and sell millions of them. You're trying to sell multi-million dollar things. And when you do that, those deals might not come around every day. So you've got to build the network first. If you're trying to get into this industry, I think that's absolutely fundamental, is build the network first. Connect people and find them. So be in the right places to meet them. Go and have coffee in expensive 5-star hotels. Go to the right events. Like, it's worth investing to go to those events. Be known to those people, make relationships, shake hands, and be seen in the right places. It's being in south of France this summer. This is where I need to be. This is where all our clients are. This is where everything's happening. So find those hotspots, and you can do those things on a budget initially. Like, just being around those places. Making friends and getting access to those things. You don't always need to be the guy buying the biggest table in the club. You can still get access and build that relationship, but make sure you're always adding value. If you're not, then it's pretty quickly you're going to be moved on, and you're not going to be able to build those relationships if you're not adding value to the people around you. So that's certainly what I do to get in the right rooms and get in the right places, for sure. What's one luxury product experience that you think is completely overrated? Good question. I mean, we spend so much on so many areas these days. I think that things like hotels, pricing, these experiences are rocketing up. But that's because people are really enjoying their time and these types of experiences. I think that probably basic hospitality for events. If you're just going to a basic football match or something like that, like these prices are going up and up. But if you're going to go and do something, I think people want to nowadays go and do more adventurous things. I think that they're, I mean, my previous career and business around being in nightclubs, when you can spend $100,000 in a nightclub in a night, I think that's probably the most overpriced things I can think of. Is it feels like that. I mean, so many times we've had clients come on trips with us and they've complained about spending 10, 15 grand on a trip and tried to negotiate it. And then the first night of the trip, they go out and spend more than that in the nightclub. And you're like, you don't even remember that night out. And so that's probably what I'd say is the most overrated at the moment. And why people are then looking at other ways to spend money. People are hosting more of their own crazy parties down here in Saint-Tropez. People are hosting these crazy villa parties and people are getting invited to all these mad boat parties. Because, like, rather than going and spend 100 grand in the club, they actually can pay for the DJ to come to their own house, experience something, and it's cheaper to host all these random people as long as they find the right crowd for free at their house, their yacht, and have a fun time. So that's what we've definitely noticed as a trend. I think other trends that are around in the luxury space is just how much people want to travel now, how much they want to live in different ways. We found that the way that people are living has changed, and that's from billionaires down to everything across the spectrum, is that they now, you now have the ability to work from home a lot more. People aren't going to the office as much, so they can live in different countries. And I think that ability is stretching now to where people can live in Bali and have an office in New York. They can do these things. And that used to be the realm of like a digital nomad, and now it's the realm of what we've called the luxury nomad, someone who's a CEO of a business who's got access to all these things. So I think that these things are going to change. And what's also changed in this billionaire space is the demographic, which is one of the key things, and where I think there's a huge opportunity is around the world of younger billionaires. It's incredible that I'm meeting these tech guys that have never been to Saint-Tropez before, that have never experienced these things, and educating people for the first time chartering a super yacht. So we're giving access to that new world, and I think that's something that's super important. Anyway, that's my thoughts and insights, just a quick rundown and ideas of how to access that billionaire world, how to sell things to them, how to experience this lifestyle. But please put some comments down below. I'd love to answer some more questions from you guys. You're the guys that make this happen. I've built up my network, so I'm now reaching millions of you every month. And so whatever more I can share with you, I will. As much as we can build out, we will. So have a great time. Subscribe, like button, set the alerts, and see you very soon on a super yacht somewhere in the world.